I have my sweatshirt on, but I'm freezing. I have nothing.
What I experienced, it breaks down why we do what we do.
I can sacrifice so that I can be able to get there in time in the morning. My brain very quickly wanted to default to, oh my gosh, Jen, this is your fault.
Okay, coming to you from the floor of the Portland airport. And I just learned the world's greatest lesson. So I'm going to share with you what's just happened over the course of the last 24 hours, a little less than 24 hours actually, and how this applies to you. It applies to every single one of us. So if you ever have done what we call self-sacrificing, or what we label as self-sacrificing, I'm going to break it down for you because it's so much more than that. And there's so many little parts to it. And what I'm gonna do is literally, because what I experienced, it breaks down why we do what we do. That's why we're here. That's why I'm always teaching you and talking to you and sharing my experiences, because I'm always wanting to know, why do we do what we do? And why does my brain do what it does? And what is my brain doing? And how do I redirect it? Or how do I change, right? How do we permanently how do we make lasting change? So here's what happened. Yesterday morning, I was getting ready to go from Honolulu to Idaho. And it was going well. I had booked an earlier flight than I had planned. It felt right. So I did that, followed the prompting to do that. So I booked the earlier flight. I thought, okay, this is perfect. I'll get in. It was gonna be 11 p.m. Idaho time. I'd get to my mom's house. I'd get a good night's rest. I had a day planned for Saturday. I'm perfect. All right, so booked that earlier flight. And then when I'm getting ready to pack, I'm packing my bag. Well, you can see my bags here, my trusty backpack from Italy, but also my carry-on. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna pack my carry-on, which is really odd because for the last year and a half, 2 years of my life, I haven't just flown with a carry-on, which I used to do all the time. But I was like, I don't think I can even fit all my stuff in the carry-on. Well, sure enough, I felt prompted to just take my carry-on. And I didn't really think too much about it. Here's the thing. We don't think about it until we can connect the dots later. And then it just helps to build our faith in the promptings that we do have and what we're to listen, right? That it actually matters, because it just makes our life easier. Would it have mattered? No. I mean, yes and no. It made my life easier though. So I'll tell you what happened. So yesterday morning, we start getting rain in Honolulu. Massive amounts of rain. They have flash flooding going on the north side of the shore, the east side. They were starting to close down roads. So all of this rain's happening, and I had to take, before I got on my flight, I had to take my dog to the boarders, to the trainers to board him. So I left first thing in the morning. As I'm driving, they closed one of the off ramps. I'm like, okay, I found a different way to go around. I got there, I dropped him off. I had driven through some runoff, it already had been overflowing. Some of the little river streams had been overflowing. And so there was already flash flooding happening across the road. It was a little sketchy. I maybe or maybe not shouldn't have driven through it, I'm not sure. But I did, because it was the only, I was already there and I had to get on my plane. So I drove back through on the way home. Get home, I had left on my way back home, I remembered that I had bagged up my dog's poop, okay? I had bagged up his poop. He had a little puppy pad, and I bagged it up, and I tied it up and I left it sitting in my living room on the floor. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna be gone a week and it's gonna be 80 degrees in my house. Can you imagine the throw up that would come out when you walked back into that house? Terrible. So I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna have enough time, but I looked at my GPS and the time to get to the airport, and I thought, nope, I'm gonna go swing back home. So I go swing back home, and bags, okay, I live on the 21st floor. Get out of my car, I leave the bags downstairs because I decided to take an Uber. So because they shut down the elevators, I had to go down the stairs, 21 flights of stairs. So my Uber guy's coming. I'm busting a move to get down all the stairs. I could have complained that the elevators weren't working, but I was grateful because could you imagine if I took all my luggage upstairs with me and then had to carry my luggage down 21 flights of stairs? Not fun. So very grateful. So that was a great blessing. I go down the stairs, make it all the way down. I get my Uber. We're driving in the Uber, and the Uber guy, and the roads are bad, and I'm worried. I was like an hour and a half till my plane was going to go out. It wasn't showing, it was delayed. So I was like, oh my gosh, I hope we end up making it, right? So on the way, he says, I'm going to run out of gas. Can we stop and get gas? And I was like, okay, let's get gas. I mean, you can't run out of gas, right? So let's stop and get gas. So we stopped to get gas. I wasn't panicked. I'm like, things will work out. It'll be fine. So we stop and get gas. And then he keeps driving, drops me off at the airport. It's perfect. I get to the airport and my flight ends up, like after I sit there for a little bit, the flight ends up being delayed. Great. So good that it's late. So now that the flight's delayed, I just sit there. I started writing my book again. I've been writing my book and it was awesome. So even right now, you guys, by the way, I had to switch screens because my SD card is full because I didn't bring my SD card with me. I wasn't fully prepared, apparently. So there's some difference in the sound and there's some difference in the picture, and that's why. And I'm not going to let it throw me. So I was grateful that I could drop off my dog. I was grateful that I listened and I packed my carry-on. I was grateful I made it on time to the airport. My flight was a little delayed so that it wasn't a stress. Then I get on my flight, and my connecting flight, I knew it was going to happen. My connecting flight got delayed. That flight got pushed back, so I missed my connecting flight. So what happened was I looked up to see if there were more flights going out on Friday night. And there wasn't. So the next flights were going to be Saturday morning. And in my head, I thought, oh, well, you know what? I'll just stop and go to a hotel and I'll get some rest and it'll be great. And I could use a good night's sleep anyway. And so this will be awesome. I'll just stay a night in Portland and get a Portland view of, downtown, whatever. And so that'll be awesome. So that was my plan. Then when I get off my plane, and I go and I ask about what the options were for a new flight for the next day. Let me give you a little more story here. I had plans on Saturday to meet with my best friend at like 11 o'clock. Okay, 11, 12 o'clock when I landed. So when I go to the desk and I say, hey, I missed my connecting flight. What are my options? They said, oh, the next flight won't go out until 2:30. And I was like, oh, well, that's too late. Like I had plans. That's too late. And she needed, I was under the impression that for her, like she had this window of time. And so that was going to push her window of time. It was too late to call and check. So I said, what other options do I have? And they were like, well, you can come take this 2 flight. It's only an hour flight, by the way. They gave me the option to take another flight at 7 a.m. that would get me there by like 10:30 because I had to go from Portland to Spokane and then Spokane to Boise. It was not a direct flight. So I was adding an additional 1-hour flight on top of my travel. And I was like, oh my gosh, Lisa, this is so complicated. And I kind of felt rushed, but I just stood there and I was like, well, I just need to get there for my friend, so I'm going to do it. So I'm there for my friend. So I booked that one. Then by this time it's 11:30 at night. Okay, that flight goes out at 7 a.m., which means I'd have to leave the hotel by probably 5:30, I would guess. So by the time I started counting the hours. By the time I got to a hotel, it'd maybe be midnight or after. I'm not familiar with Portland's airport, never been here before. So I don't know even where. I'm not familiar with Portland either. So I don't know where hotels are. I didn't even look it up. I was really tired. So
instead of doing that, I was like, well, it's only like 6 hours. Why would I leave the airport for 6 hours? I'm just gonna sleep here. Sounds doable. Okay, so I'm all like positive, this will be a fun adventure, it will be awesome, it'll be so good. As I make that decision, and I'm like, I'll just go head to the gate for the morning so I can just fall asleep and set an alarm and wake up at the gate. So I do that, and that's this area that I'm in right now. So I come over here, I'm like, there's no like chairs without an arm in between to lay down on. So I'm surveying the land to find out where I can sleep. And I find this little cubby here actually that I'm sitting next to. And it's this wood cubby, and I was like, okay, well that sounds, I can do this. So I kind of shoved my bags in the corner, and I was like, so nobody can steal my bags, even though no other human being was in the airport, by the way. Like nobody was here. So I shoved my bags in the corner. I lay down, and as I'm laying there, I literally like said my prayers before I went to bed, because I'm like, well, nobody else is here, so I can get on my knees and pray in the middle of the airport, because why not, right? So I say my prayers, I could be safe and everything's gonna be okay, and just grateful I got here, my bag was with me, and like there were lots of great things. And even before that, I like went and got myself ready in the bathroom. I was making a day of it. I was like making the best out of it, right? I put my depuffing eye patches on, I brushed my teeth, I changed my clothes, I kind of took a spit bath. It was great. It's great. I was totally making the best of it. Positive. Listen to some Taylor Swift, like really positive attitude, okay? So then I'm laying down, and I'm on this hard wood surface, and I literally was like, I am so grateful that this like 45-year-old body, I think I'm 45-year-old body can handle sleeping in an airport at night and laying on this wood here, and I can hack this. Like I can take one for the team pretty much, right? Like I can do this. I can sacrifice so that I can be able to get there in time in the morning. Oh my gosh, it gets better. Are you ready? So I did not sleep. I could not sleep. There was zero sleep happening. I tried all the things, and I even tried listening to scriptures to make me like be tired. I couldn't do any of it. I was not happening. So I went from here, walked around, went to a different place. I was freezing. There's literally like air conditioning blowing like crazy, and I'm from Hawaii now, like heck no with the air conditioning. So I'm freezing, and I have my sweatshirt on, but I'm freezing. I have nothing. I have no pillow. So I'm like makeshifting a pillow out of like my snack bag. I was doing everything I could. It was so uncomfortable. I totally could not sleep. So I end up getting up, I walk around, go to a different place, I'm looking at some reels. Anyway, still didn't sleep. Came back over here. I was looking for like a hot chocolate dispenser. Nope, didn't happen. There was not one. Oh my gosh, I couldn't find anything. So I came back down here. I'm like, I'm just gonna go lay on the carpet. That's gotta be warmer than what I was doing. So I cuddled myself up on the carpet next to my bag. I get a shirt out of my bag, lay it over my pants. These details matter, by the way, you guys. I'm building here, so just stay with me. I grab a shirt out, I like a kind of a flannel shirt. I put that over my legs because my legs are freezing, and I curl up on the ground to go to sleep. I slept for a total of 1 hour and 17 minutes. That's why I look like this, by the way. If you are on video with me right now, I look so like I got hit by a truck. I am so tired. 1 hour and 17 minutes. Okay, minimum for Lisa needs to be like 7 hours. 6. Really minimum. So 1 hour and 17 minutes. And I thought, okay, I'll just catch up my sleep on the plane. And I'm still on a positive note, okay? Then my best friend wakes up and sends me a text message, and she said, I'd noticed, she messaged me actually at 2 o'clock in the morning, hadn't seen it. And she said, I'm just barely getting to sleep. I'm so tired. I'm not gonna be able to get together until after 2 o'clock. And I was like, I had to sit there for just a second. I thought, oh my gosh, you've got to be kidding me. I literally just sacrificed. Okay, now here's the lesson. I just sacrificed and slept on the floor of the airport. I could have gone to a hotel, you guys. I could have had a beautiful night's rest, flown out at 2:30, experienced a little bit of Portland, probably had some breakfast somewhere, or just slept in really well and sat and wrote. I could have done so many things. And instead, I did not listen to what my needs were. I put the needs of the other person in front of mine. Now, is it important to think of other people's needs? Sure, it's completely important to think of their needs all the time. And I am now going to be running on an hour and 15 minutes of sleep, or an hour and 17 minutes of sleep, which is going to make me slightly edgy. I'm going to work on not being edgy, but I'm going to be tired. I'm going to have a hard time driving. Like, I had a full day packed for Saturday and some things to do tonight and people to see. And now I don't have fuel in the tank. It's like I didn't plug in my battery and charge it of my phone, right? I didn't plug in the Lisa battery and charger. What's so interesting is where my brain went. My brain very quickly, I know it was not her fault, but my brain very quickly wanted to default to, oh my gosh, Jen, this is your fault. Like, I did my part and you're not doing your part. I sacrificed so I could meet our deadline, and here you are not sacrificing to meet our deadline. So I could like take all of my pile of what I just experienced of sleeping on this floor and that, the choice that I made. I could take the choice that I made and I could hand that over to Jen, or attempt Jen, my best friend Jen. I could attempt to hand that over to Jen and be like, this is your fault. Here's the problem. You're the problem. Here you go. Hold on to this because you caused it. Did she really? Did she really? She really did not cause that, right? She did not cause it at all. I made a choice. And when I was making my choice, I did not say very quickly, what does Lisa need? What is important? And then I will make sure that everything works just like it worked when I got my suitcase and had the elevator thing and got my dog where it needed to go. Like, all of those things lined up just well. And then when it started to not line up is when I pushed myself to the side and what my needs were, and decided that I'd take one for the team. And then what that does is leave me not functioning. So the lesson inside of this is this: why do we self-sacrifice? Because we actually don't slow down enough to say, what do I need? That's really what we do. We don't see, it would have worked well. It would have worked perfectly had I put my needs where they needed to be as well, so I could take care of myself. And then look, she's taking care of herself, and then the times line up and everything works great. But it doesn't work, and it starts to become a catastrophe when we don't listen to what our needs are. We don't even stop and think about it. We're just running off of what everybody else around us needs. And then when it doesn't go right or we're tired, we're going to pass that blame on to the other person. So then we just walk around passing blame all the time, never taking responsibility for the fact that we have choice. We have the ability to choose what we do, and we need to slow down for a hot second and decide what we need to do in order to show up with a full charged battery for everybody else around us. It's really loud in here now. Does that make sense? So I very soon after that happened and she said that, and I started to get frustrated. I'm like, yeah, this is not her fault. I thought, oh, look at that lesson, Lisa. Look at the lesson you just learned. What a great blessing. And I'm exhausted and I'm never doing that again. Ever. Ever. And I could still have a positive attitude through it, sure. But was it really what I should have done with myself? No, I'm so tired. I would have loved to be in a hotel in a bed. That's what I would have loved to do, which was my earlier idea. Anyway, I hope that helps. I know that was a very long story to get to a short point, but it is a short point. It is a short point. We need to think before we act. We need to be aware of what we need so that we can show up better for the people around us. And when something doesn't go right, it's not anybody else's fault. We don't get to hand the choice that we made over to somebody else like they caused it. Then we just all end up running around slinging mud at each other or handing each other the responsibility for the way that we feel or the decisions we've made, which is passing, right, our agency, our ability to choose to somebody else. We're giving them the remote control of our lives, and we're saying, here, go pick the channel, tell me how I'm going to feel today. Go pick the channel and tell me like what we're choosing, what's going on. Doesn't work. All right. Airport's getting really busy now, and I'm going to attempt to get on standby on a direct flight. I already went and talked to the kid at the gate. I'm like, okay, my flight is supposed to leave 15 minutes after theirs does. I'm like, if somebody else misses their connection, can I have the direct flight, please? Can you put me on standby? He's like, yep, well, he's like, I'll come get you. I'm like, okay, we'll give it a shot. If not, I'm on 2 more planes and it'll be okay, and I'll never do it again. I would love to say I'll never do it again. We'll see if I can learn the lesson and remember it well. So, okay, thanks for being with me today in the lesson, and have a good one.